What's good, stream? Ty Butler, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube page. Give me a follow. It is a football Friday here in New York City. Hold on, let me just adjust my camera real quick. Football Friday here in New York City. A bit of a gloomy day. Maybe that is like the foreshadowing of things to come this weekend. Hopefully not. But we're here on the show. Hop in the chat. If you are on YouTube, hit the comments up. We're on Twitter right now. I keep saying Twitter. Got to get me to say X. Hit us up in the comments. We are getting it popping right now on the show. So I'm going to see you in the chat. And let me pull the chat up just so, you know. Uh-oh. Little double audio here. But hit up the chat. Ty Butler. Want to wait for some people to hop up in here before we get on started. I guess I can give you a little rundown of what we're going to be getting into today. And that, of course, is week 2 that officially got underway last night. Had the Packers beat the Commanders. Thursday Night Football, which kicks off week 2. You got the Jets at home against Buffalo. Man, if the Josh Allen that performed in that game, particularly in the fourth quarter against the Ravens, if that dude shows up at MetLife Stadium, the Jets are in a world of trouble. Got the Giants in Dallas. The Cowboys have their home opener. So all of that on the table. Ty Butler, once again, I want y'all to follow me on the socials. That is X, Instagram. Hit that YouTube page up so we can talk about it. Any other games? Because I know we got fans of teams. Someone hit me up and was like, yo, I want you to talk some Bucks football. So you've got people chiming in from all over the place. And if you want to talk about your favorite team, we can get into that. We can discuss the entirety of the week 2 slate. Have at it. Low-key and sneaky, big game, but also like I'm expecting this to be, entertaining. Jags, Bengals. Jags obviously got off to a hot start. I mean, how much credit am I going to give them when they beat the Panthers? They did what they were supposed to do. Year 1 of their new head coach. Big year for Trevor Lawrence to silence some of the haters, including yours truly. And the Bengals avoided what would have been a horrific loss at the hands of the Browns. 17-16? That's a sneaky, fun, big game. Cincinnati favored by 3.5. Bears-Lions, Caleb Williams after that horrendous second half. And Detroit, man, we had a lot of questions about this team coming into the season with their coordinator situation, losing Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. What a horror show that was last Sunday against the Packers. So that should be a fun game. A lot of good games on the schedule here. 49ers starting Mac Jones. I don't know that this is necessarily a good game, but certainly fascinated to see what Mac Jones is going to do in the absence of one Brock Purdy. Seahawks Steelers. That's a fun one. Seahawks could have won that game against San Fran. So they will be on the road in Pittsburgh to play Aaron Rodgers fresh off of a victory at MetLife Stadium. This is not going to be a good game at all, but if you're Baltimore, you got to smash Cleveland. This cannot be a game that has serious doubt as far as the outcome is concerned. There can be no doubt. We get to the fourth quarter, you better be pummeling Cleveland, especially after what we saw last Sunday night. Man, no excuses. No excuses. Of course, the sexiest game on the slate, Super Bowl rematch, Eagles-Chiefs. There is a giant fan implication involved here. I've got a question I want to pose to the Giant fans. Sunday Night Football should be fun. Falcons and Vikings. And Monday night, little doubleheader for you. Buccaneers, Texans, Chargers, and the Raiders. So if you're a fan of any of these teams and you just want to talk about what your squad has going on, you want to preview your game, hit me up. I want to see you in the chat. Hit the chat up. And, we'll get it popping. We will get it popping. So, Ty Butler once again. So you can find me on all of your social media platforms. Let's start with the New York Giants. Start with the Giants. That Washington defense I watched last night held the Giants to a measly 6 points. I could not believe it. The Giants, who, once again, I picked to upset the Commanders. I picked the Giants to upset the Commanders. Someone hit me in my DMs just now. Said something on the line. It was my mom. It was kind of funny. But my mom's birthday yesterday, so shout out to her. 51 years old. And I posted her on my Instagram story. And he's like, yo, hopefully your mom had a better day than you in your ridiculous prediction of the Giants beating the Commanders. I don't think it was all that ridiculous. What was the spread? It was like 5.5 points. There was a logic to that prediction. Now, didn't end up being right, and I was mad at myself, mad at the Giants, especially because I'm not a Giant fan, so I'm sitting there rooting for you to win this game because I'm rooting for my takes, and it blew up in my face. The Washington defense that I saw last night just get cooked up by Jordan Love, and I get it's an upgrade in competition. I'm sitting there wondering, how the hell did y'all lose? Not just lose, but score only 6 points against the Commanders. And again, I understand the Packers are one of the Super Bowl favorites. They're one of the favorites to come out of the NFC. A lot of people have them come out of the NFC, especially post Micah Parsons trade. But to look that, anemic offensively, very, very concerning. So you come into this week now against the Cowboys. Before we talk about the Giants-Cowboys game, fast forward to week 3. The Giants will either be playing a Kansas City Chiefs team for their home opener, Giants home opener next week, Sunday Night Football. They will either be playing a Kansas City team coming off of a pretty huge week 2 loss, which drops them to 0-2, or pretty big win, which gets them to 1-1. So my question is this, and I put this in my group chat. I got the group chat going with my guys Alan Hahn and Anthony Pusick. For those of you who tune into ESPN New York, they do a tremendous job with the afternoon show. Put this in the chat. If you're a Giants fan, what's better for you? Before we get to the game this week, would you rather be playing a Chiefs team that's 0-2 in desperate need of a win to, dare I say, save its season, or the Chiefs at 1-1? Rather be playing an 0-2, because I guess obviously you'd rather the Chiefs be 1-1, because if they're in desperation mode to save their season, man, you've got no chance. But I guess that the logic in arguing the other side is, if they're 0-2, it means they're 0-2 for a reason. Maybe they're just not that good. Coming off of a Super Bowl loss, there was, a conversation being had, a legitimate one. Could the dynasty be over? People had gone, I think, too far in overcorrecting and saying that the Chiefs could miss the playoffs. But that's my question to you, Giant fans. Hit me up in the chat. Would you rather be in week 3 facing an 0-2 Chiefs team or a 1-1 Chiefs team? Which makes you feel just better about your chances of winning that game? All right, let's talk Giants-Cowboys. This game, obviously, is of the highest level of importance. How many times are we going to come on here, whether it's your podcast or you're listening to a show on the radio, you're watching on television, discussing the Giants starting a season 0-2? I thought this got lost last week. Didn't get a ton of play. I talked about it on the show I did on radio Saturday afternoon for ESPN New York. Diana Rossini had in her column the NFL Week 1 preview. She discusses how the chatter around the league was when John Mara says he needs to see an improvement. When John Mara says he needs to see something happen for the Giants, I wondered, what does that mean? What does an improvement look like? And Diana Rossini, she discussed how certain chatter is making the playoffs, which I thought was insane. And I'm trying to pull up the actual quote. I'm trying to pull it up from last week because I thought this was absurd. This was absolutely absurd. And it was along the lines of the chatter around the league is John Mara, the mandate is for them to make the playoffs, which is unfair considering the schedule, considering where you are in the trajectory of your organization, and the fact that your lifeline is this rookie quarterback, Jackson Dart, who you would assume that you're not going to go to until later in the season. And if you're going to him, it means, for the most part, your team's cooked. Because if the Giants are winning games, I think it would be foolish to change quarterbacks. It's not going to, forget what the fans think. It's not going to sit well in that locker room with veterans. Like, yo, we're winning games. Why are we going to this rookie who could cost us a chance to make the playoffs if you think the Giants would be in a position to make the playoffs? So it was silly to me to sit here and, cogitate how there could possibly be a mandate on them, having to make the playoffs in order to save their jobs. Now, I don't think they should have been retained to begin with, but water under the bridge, right? We've now gotten past that. So here's the deal. I bring all of that up to say this. 0-2. At that point, there's some chirping. There's some chatter. Fan base is growing impatient. Now, as we get there, there's a quote that John Runyon has in this article Steve Serby put out in the New York Post that I find to be hilarious. And I get heart's in the right place. It's what a player should say. It's not at all what the fans want to hear. So here's John Runyon in this Steve Serby piece in the New York Post. Because he's asked, and it's a legitimate question, what is your message to Giant fans who are already panicking? They were panicked before the season. They saw that disgraceful performance on Sunday against the Commanders. They're already panicking. What's your message? Here's John Runyon. He says, my message to the Giant fans is to be patient. Immediately, I'm laughing. And I'm laughing because these Giant fans have been patient for a decade. Now, 2022 happens. They get to the playoffs, surprisingly, and they win that playoff game against the Vikings. But telling this fan base to be patient, a fan base that last year had a couple dudes flying planes over the stadium, saying fire everyone, clean house, a fan base that has an owner who has admitted he's losing patience, telling them to be patient, I don't know if that's going to resonate, my guy. I get it's what you have to say, but that's the last thing Giant fans want to hear. All right, so we move on with the quote. My message to the Giant fans is to be patient. It's one game. It's not just one game. It's an extension of what we saw last year. But I get what you're trying to say. John Runyon continues. We're not panicked here, which you shouldn't be. You're a professional player after one game of the season. And I don't think that fans align their mentalities with that of the professional players. But okay, we're not panicked here. You guys shouldn't be panicked. Feel very confident in this coaching staff that, oh, by the way, is on the hot seat. And this team going on the road, playing a good team. Once again, John Runyon, God bless you. I understand it's what you have to say. I understand it's what you have been conditioned to say. But fam, are we really going to sit here and pretend that the logical thing for a Giant fan to do right now is to be patient? I think that that's insane. I think that is disingenuous. No one believes that after watching what you saw for 17 games last year and that product that was put on display this past week, there is not a single soul who can rationally argue that Giant fans should be patient. Now, when it comes, there are certain things they should be patient about. Like if we're evaluating Abdul Carter, if we're waiting for the return of Andrew Thomas coming off of a significant injury, if we are watching Jackson Dart, be patient. I get it. But the idea that a fan who is already fed up, a fan base that in unison last year were contending, head coach got to go, general manager got to go. The idea that they should be patient, come on, fam. You know who you're talking to? You're talking to a once proud organization. That's who you're talking to. We're not talking to, this team that isn't used to winning or fans that haven't seen championships. We're talking to a Giant fan base that for the last decade, since 2015, has not seen their quarterback throw for 30 or more touchdowns. That's who we're talking to. So let's not sit here and act like it's just one game. Technically, on the season, sure, it's only one game. But it's more than one game. It's an extension of what we've seen in the past. So again, this one on Sunday, highest degree of importance. And by the way, if I'm being candid, as much confidence as I had in the Giants going into that one last week against the Commanders, it's the reverse. I give them a 0% chance of winning. But there are people who are obviously in disagreement. So I want to holler at y'all for a moment, which is why I implore you. If you disagree with me, I give them a 0% chance. I don't see the Giants going into Dallas and winning that game. I give them a 0% chance. If you disagree, hit me up in the chat right here. I don't see them winning that game. Cowboys, home opener, coming off of that mini bye, had a chance to beat Philadelphia. That Dallas team. So if we're just doing eye test, we saw the Dallas Cowboys hang with the defending champion Eagles. And I know the context to that is Jalen Carter gets thrown out. The Eagles have a bunch of new players on their defense. So there's a lot of context to it. But if we're strictly going based on eye test, I watched Dallas hang with the defending champions. I watched the Giants struggle against, yes, a team that did go to the NFC Championship game last year, but a team I got to watch last night get pummeled, especially in that first half offensively. Got it going a little bit in that fourth quarter, but that was no contest. So just based off of eye test, from what I've seen so far in the season, I don't think the Giants can hang with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to score at least 30. They're going to hang at least 30 on that Giant defense. Do I trust the Giants, who scored 6 points last week, can get to the 30-point mark? I don't think so. I give them a 0% chance outside of some significant injury. Dak goes down. And Deron Bland, that's a huge injury for the Cowboys. But Dak has beaten them 13 straight times. And how about this for a stat? 13 straight wins over the Giants for Dak Prescott. Tied for the second longest streak by any quarterback versus a single opponent since 1950. Bob Greasy over the Bills did it back in, from 68 to 79. Second longest streak by any quarterback. So to all the Giant fans who are running around in any discussion about Dak, labeling him mid, don't listen. That dude has owned you since coming into the league. Now, you beat him twice in his rookie season. 13 straight wins over your team. So there are, I guess, many people who can run around here calling Dak Prescott mid. That group does not include Giant fans who has watched him beat your team 13 straight times. It is what it is. The Cowboys, 8-game win streak against the New York Giants. So at some point, that streak will end. But I just don't see it ending 2 days from now. I don't see that happening. Dak looked pretty damn good against the Eagles. I expect more of the same in this game against the Giants. So, what's the spread? 5.5 points? I took the Cowboys in my survivor pool. 5.5 points. So, Vegas thinks that this is a game that's within a touchdown. And, yes, division opponent. So, it makes sense. And the Giants can't be as bad as they were in week 1 going forward, especially if Brian Daboll is this like offensive guru everyone's made him out to be. I just don't believe that the Giants have any chance of winning this game. Now, I picked the Giants to win week 1. So maybe that bodes well for the fans. Like, yo, you've been wrong about the Giants so far this season. But if they lose this game, and it's ugly, that temperature increases on Brian Daboll. Starting to get hot. That seat that might have been coming into the season the hottest of any head coach, it's getting hotter. And I'm just trying to think. Mike McDaniels, like which coaches were on the hot seat? Mike McDaniels, Zach Taylor, definitely Brian Daboll. I think those are the 3 coaches coming into the season with the hottest seats. Yeah, and those are the 3 coaches that come to mind on the hottest seats. Giants get their behinds kicked in this game, and it's ugly. Back-to-back weeks, divisional opponents, and now, and this is where it gets very, very tricky. Because you're 0-2 headed into a nationally televised game against Kansas City, who will either be 0-2 themselves in desperation mode, or 1-1 coming off of a big win against the defending champs, rematch of the Super Bowl. So they get, not payback, but, you know, they get a bit of a lick. And now we're on national television in a game against a team that we know struggles offensively. KC knows how to win games. We know that, obviously, right? But offensively, as we saw last Friday night, it is a massive struggle for this team now that they're down both Rashee Rice, who's serving a suspension, and Xavier Worthy. So 0-2, Chiefs coming into your building, national television. Those Boo Birds will be out heavy. And that is embarrassing because we're hearing it on TV. If you're in the stadium, and that'll be the worst part, right? Like if you're a Giant fan and the stadium's not going to be empty. But if somehow, because there are bandwagoners, right? So are there Chiefs fans in New York you're now selling tickets to get to this game? If that building is filled with Boo Birds or cheers coming from Chiefs fans, or we see some empty seats, what do you do if you're the owner? Now, why I say it's tricky is because how are you firing these guys without allowing them to play Jackson Dart to see what he's like. It's messy, man. It is messy. So that's the Giant part of it. Giants, Cowboys, if you want to continue to chime in, let's do that thing. Hit us up in the chat. We're on YouTube, Instagram. We get it popping. Ty D. Butler. Yo, Jets. Bills coming off of an emotional high. What a performance by Buffalo. Down 15. 4 minutes left to go in the game. Come back to win. So if you're a Jet fan trying to persuade yourself into, I think we've got a chance, that has to be the thought process. Bills coming off of an emotional high. You know the Ravens, they're on that tier. They're in that upper echelon. It's a big game for both of those teams, especially seeding implications, and it's week 1. But assuming both of these teams are going to be great, which I expect them to be, it's going to come down to the head-to-head matchup. It's going to come down to tiebreakers. Big game for the Bills. They showed why they are, in a lot of people's eyes, the favorites to come out the AFC. Josh Allen, not that he needed it, validated that MVP trophy that he received last season. Is there an element of, now we got the Jets, without trying to do so? You don't consciously do it, but we see teams all the time play down to their competition. Maybe that happens. Maybe that happens. You're at home, once again, if you're the New York Jets. Once a year, you play the Bills well. You would assume it would be in your home game. Coming off of that emotional high, can you catch them napping in the first half? They'll turn it on at some point, but maybe it's a little bit too late. That offensive performance for the Jets, wildly encouraging. Aaron Glenn this past week sends a message, listen, we got to be on the same page. If y'all are out here making dumb mistakes that are costly, you won't be a part of what we're trying to build here. We saw Xavier Gibson get shown the door. Does that motivate this group even more to come out, play disciplined football, knowing that that head coach has a zero-tolerance policy? That's what you're banking on if you're a Jet fan. And my question that I posed earlier was, who do you, if we're looking at the two New York teams, which one of them do you give the best chance at pulling off an upset? Is it the Jets or is it the Giants? I'm going to sound like a homer because I am the Jet fan hosting this stream. Not that I think they're going to win, but if we get both of them play at 1 o'clock, which I hate, 4:05 this coming Sunday, and all you're telling me is one of these teams won, the Jets or the Giants, my assumption is it's the Jets. The Giants going into Dallas against a team that they've lost 8 consecutive games to, and a quarterback they've lost 13 consecutive times to. With that offense looking the way it did this past Sunday, I think it is damn near impossible. The Jets, however, again, while I don't predict they win this game, it's like, all right, saw some encouraging signs from that offense. The Bills' defense was in shambles. Now, it's the Ravens' offense, right, with Lamar and Derek and Zay, and DeAndre Hopkins had a crazy catch. But that Bills defense dealing with injuries, Jet offense smoking hot against the Steelers. Is there a path to victory? Sure. You told me one of these teams won. I think it'd be the Jets. And that's not me being a homer. I did come across something that at first, like the moment I saw it, I was like, are you kidding me? But, Syracuse.com put this column out. And I've got nothing but love for Syracuse.com. When I was a student at the university, I frequently read articles, whether it be news or sports. So I'm scrolling through Jet content, and I saw Jet star Sauce Gardner, admits he's not looking forward to playing the Bills' Josh Allen in week 2. And I was like, what? So the Jets have one of their best players admit that he's not looking forward to playing the opposing quarterback. Something struck me as odd when I read that. So I said, you know what? Let's click on the article. I want to hear what Sauce Gardner actually had to say. Sauce coming off of what I thought was a magnificent performance, fresh off a payday, this past week, winning his matchup against DK Metcalf. Did Sauce have the audacity to say he was not looking forward to playing Josh Allen? Now, it could be like a throwaway comment where sometimes you'll hear athletes like, yeah, not looking forward to that, but, we'll be ready for the challenge. I remember LeBron in 2017, after the Cavs had won the Eastern Conference Finals, was asked on the court, like this is the immediate post game after they had won that series. I forget who they were playing, but he said something like, because they had just added Kevin Durant. He's like, yeah, that's gonna keep me up, and I'm not looking forward to that. I need a break before that. Admitting, yeah, that's a stacked team. What we were able to do navigating through the Eastern Conference, this is a whole different level. But he was smiling when he said it, so you could tell that it wasn't just reading as, yeah, man, we've got no chance. So I said, let's see if Sauce Gardner said something like that, because that would, I don't know, as a fan, kind of rub me the wrong way. Here's the quote. It's always a battle, Gardner told the media when asked about Allen. I mean, obviously, I don't really enjoy it. As a corner, you never really enjoy playing against running quarterbacks or quarterbacks that are capable of using their legs and stuff like that. I know he's a competitor. He's a guy, we're very aware of that. Then I read the rest of the article, and that's it. So Syracuse.com, a little misleading when they say Sauce Gardner admits he's not looking forward to playing Josh Allen in week 2. I don't think he says that. He says it's always a battle. He doesn't really enjoy it. So I guess the second cousin of that is, I'm not looking for. Just because you don't enjoy it, does that mean you're not looking for? In the throes of competition, he doesn't really say he's not looking forward to it. He just acknowledges the arduous task of going up against a guy like Josh Allen. So I read that, and I came away feeling a little better about it. But obviously, it's going to be tough, man. He's the MVP of the league for a reason. And Josh Allen is coming off of a performance, and it's not even hyperbolic to say, at least in recent memory, one of the best performances I've ever seen. You could argue the best performance of his career. Fourth quarter, 251 yards, 1 touchdown, rushed for 18 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. So 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone. For the game, finished with 394 yards, 30 yards rushing, 4 total touchdowns. They win 41-40. He sets up the game-winning field goal. It was an unbelievable performance. One that we might not see the rest of the season. So that guy coming into your building, should give you some qualms, right? Should give you some fear. Should give you some reservation. I'm looking forward to the game from this standpoint. Could you imagine what the conversation is going to be like on Monday if the Jets pull off this upset? And now they're 1-1 heading to Tampa. They just did something even Lamar's Ravens couldn't do. And you'd have to believe, because this is going to be, a high-scoring game, Justin Fields once again looks pretty good. Breece Hall once again looks pretty good. Garrett Wilson once again looks pretty good. So even talking about it excites me. I didn't come into this season with lofty expectations. I did say I want to see them win 7 games, because if you're establishing a new culture, part of that new culture building has to show up in the win-loss column. But just thinking about it excites me. If they pull off this upset, and what a weekend, by the way. Bud Crawford versus Canelo. Jets beat the Bills. Then you'll have, Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, Chiefs. If the Jets beat the Bills, because as a Jet fan, I obviously detest them. I'm envious that they drafted a quarterback the Jets very well could have drafted, and it immediately led to success. They've got some stability there, and I know for Bills fans, it's frustrating. They can't get past Patrick in the playoffs. But just thinking about that, man. If the Jets pull off this upset on Sunday, which I'm not predicting, I think the Bills do win this game. But I think it's more probable the Jets upset the Bills than the Giants upset the Cowboys. And if that happens, we might have to do a post-game stream, y'all. Which is going to be difficult because I'm going to be locked into that Chiefs-Eagles game. I don't know, man. I don't know, y'all. Am I going to be able to compose myself? Am I going to be able to contain myself if the Jets pull this upset off? I don't know, man. Shout out BK, my man BK Ray hopped in the chat. He said, "What's poppin', Ty? What's up? What's up, Ray Ray? Talk to me, man. What you got cooking? What's going on, Ray? I know it's tough for your Giants right now. We're talking a little Giants football, but at least you got the Rangers to look forward to. They're coming up soon. Got the Knicks. Just signed Malcolm Brogdon. Yankees coming off that win last night. Big series ahead here at Fenway Park against the Red Sox. Talk to me, Ray Ray. What's going on, baby? I said this. I think that it is more likely the Jets pull off the upset this weekend than it is that the Giants do. And I'm waiting to hear from the Giant fans to see if they agree or disagree. Ray Ray, how you feeling about this Giants-Cowboys game? Holla at me. Chilling here in the stream. Talk to me, y'all. I'm excited, man. All right, so let's quickly, because we got Jet and Giant fans, hit me up in the chat. I said this at the top of the stream. This is an all NFL type of broadcast. Someone hit me up last week and was like, man, let's talk some Bucks. You want to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? We can do it. How about Bake Show last weekend? And not just last weekend, the last couple years. Bake Show has, I think, this is not even arguable, but a top 10 quarterback. We could do that. Ray Ray talks about his Giants, says the offense is suspect. Suspect is not even the word, my guy. It is pathetic. I'm watching the Packers just go up and down the field last night against the Commanders. Now, the first drive didn't result in points because they went for it on fourth down and weren't able to convert. So it should have been a lot worse. But the Packers yesterday in this game, I'm watching them just go up and down. 404 total yards on that Commanders defense. Put up 27 points. And I'm thinking, yo, how did the Giants only score 2 field goals? That's the best you can come up with? That's the best you can do? Jets need to win before I give your Jets any props. Yo, I'm with you, bro. I'm not sitting here doing a moral victory tour. A lot of Jet fans pulled up with that energy last week. I wasn't with that. We're not settling for moral victories. I'm tired of that. I want to see some W's. Hang them dubs up. And if they do that on Sunday, Ray, and for all of you guys out there watching on the stream, they beat the Bills on Sunday. Man. The type of time I'm gonna be on, the type of energy y'all gonna get from me. Because we'll do a Monday morning recap. That's gonna happen. Yeah, the Packers were dancing last night, Ray. Matt LaFleur, big up to him. He was in that bag last night. And I was critical of Matt LaFleur in the past because, I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. So I'm watching him in that NFC Championship game against the Bucs kick a field goal late in the game, down 8. I'm like, dog, what are you doing? But I'll be honest, and it's hard to not feel this way, but the last couple of seasons, as he has had his own imprint on everything that's happening with the Packers, got his quarterback now, this dude's one of the best coaches in the NFL. That throttling of the Cowboys a couple years ago, Micah's last playoff game with Dallas, and now Micah's in Green Bay. You see LaFleur in his bag, man. Last night, I was just wowed by the excellence offensively. And I am not one to overreact to either just a single game or a single trade. Because a lot of people were like, yo, Green Bay, Super Bowl. Maybe I'm coming on, maybe I am coming around to that opinion. It's still early. It's week 2. And the Jaden Reed injury is massive. Looks like he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. That's a massive injury. Speaking of injuries, Austin Eckler, torn Achilles. It really stinks. And it's why anytime we just think that what happened last year is immediately going to translate into next season, what we got to remember, injury luck. So the Commanders, NFC Championship game, a lot of variables have to be accounted for. When you say they're going to take a step back, it could be the sophomore slump for Jaden. It could be injuries starting to affect you. It could be a host of things. Teams coming out of nowhere, all of a sudden you get clipped in round 1 or round 2. That's a pretty big deal for Washington. And that defense that they supposedly vastly improved this past offseason did not look good at all last night. Yeah, and now Jordan, as we transition back to the Packers, has got a great defense. Micah, all of a sudden that back not feeling too tight anymore, huh, Micah? That Packers team looks as complete as can be in football right now. Again, I still worry about the wide receiver core. They'll get Watson back. They'll get Jaden Reed back. And, you trust the running game. Jordan Love's got some issues sometimes when it comes to his accuracy. But, Romeo Doubs, I should have mentioned. Their tight end as well. Kraft. That team's loaded, man. And if Love is going to consistently make those throws with that offense and that defense, look out for them. Look out for them. Let's talk some NFL. If you want to talk about the Jets or Giants, feel free to do so. We gave you the rundown on both the Jets and the Giants. I said sneakily one of my favorite games this weekend to watch. Cincinnati hosting Jacksonville. Big game for both teams. Cincinnati, what an embarrassing performance. You got the win. And, cool, but that was ugly. 17-16 over the Browns. Yikes. So this is a big game for both the Jags and the Bengals. I'd say bigger for the Bengals, who I am higher on this season. But for Jacksonville, listen, Trevor wasn't great last week, but this is kind of a show me season for him. He got the bag. He's got a new coach. No more excuses, man. This is his third head coach. This is your third head coach, and you were supposed to be this quote-unquote generational talent. So I know he's got one playoff win on his resume, but a lot of people remember that one playoff win more about Brandon Staley and Justin Herbert. So it's a big year for both of these teams. I'm excited about that game. Bears-Lions, Caleb, what happened? What happened after that 10-for-10 start? Lions, same deal. This is a big number. Lions minus 6.5? That feels like a big number for that Lions team that just got shellacked by the Packers. Now, maybe the Packers are just that good, but the Lions at home, 6.5-point favorites, I might have to dabble in that one. Mac Jones getting the start in Brock Purdy's absence against the Saints. 3.5 is the number in New Orleans. Bills, Jets, we talked about Cowboys and the Giants. Seahawks, Steelers, another good game. Can Pittsburgh continue that offensive excellence? Or was it just you played the Jets, who had some issues with their secondary? Seattle coming off that tough loss in San Francisco. That should be a fun game. Baltimore, you got to blow the doors off the Browns. You know what the sad part about what Baltimore accomplished last week? And they'll play the Chiefs this year. So I'll dress up my take by saying they'll play the Lions, they'll play the Chiefs, they'll play the Rams, they'll play the Vikings, they'll play Green Bay. So they've got a ton of games on the schedule that should refute what I'm about to say. But what the Ravens did last week almost clinched. There's nothing you can do the rest of the season that is going to change our opinion about you. You gagged away a massive lead. That would have been a huge win on the road in Buffalo. The Bills were home dogs. And it felt disrespectful. Like, there's certain quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Mahomes. Mahomes is a home dog this week. Lamar Jackson. Those three guys. And I want to throw Burrow in there, but let's just keep it at those three guys. You could make the case should never be home dogs. Josh Allen was a home dog last week. And for a while there, that team was getting their teeth kicked in. What a pathetic loss for Baltimore. And now you spend the rest of the season saying, all right, cool, show me something in the playoffs. It was already going to be the case, but at least if you start the season by throttling Buffalo, in Buffalo, now people are interested. But it's not just that you got to beat Cleveland. You got to blow the doors off of them. Another sneaky good game. Colts-Broncos. Daniel Jones was great last week. Bo Nix, not so good. So that should be a fun one. And Eagles-Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch. Philadelphia, 1.5-point favorites. I'm thinking about taking the Chiefs plus the 1.5. I just can't unsee that throttling in the Super Bowl. And if Jalen Hurts once again, I think the number is 15 straight wins Jalen Hurts has. 15 straight wins going back to last year's regular season and the playoffs. Then week 1, obviously, against the Cowboys. If he makes it 16 straight wins, at some point we got to admit, like, this dude is pretty good. Y'all like to call him a fullback, playing quarterback. He's a system guy. Weapons all around him galore. If he once again outplays Mahomes and does it in Kansas City, it's like, all right, 3 straight wins against KC, 2-0 on the season. Got to give him some credit. Falcons, Vikings, Bucks, Texans, and then Chargers, Raiders. So we got the double header on Monday night. Appreciate you, Ray. Holla at me. All of you guys who tuned into the show today, nothing but love for you guys. Nothing but love. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back either later on. We'll definitely be back on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. I'm doing that NFL Week 1 preview with you guys right before church. So hit up the chat. Hit me up on right here on X, Ty D Butler, Instagram, Ty D Butler, and follow that YouTube channel, Ty D Butler. So just to recap, I've got more confident in the Jets pulling an upset this week as opposed to the Giants. I don't give the Giants any chance to win that game in Dallas, a team they've lost to 8 straight times, and a quarterback they've lost to in Dak Prescott 13 straight times. I'm not putting my faith in that team who just last week scored 6 points against Washington when we saw Washington's defense last night get annihilated by the Green Bay Packers. Meanwhile, the Jets, I don't think they'll win the game, but they have a better chance of winning based on what we saw from the Buffalo defense, the Jet offense, and coming off of that emotional high for the Buffalo Bills. Can the Jets catch them sleeping just a little bit? Ty D Butler, once again, hit me up on all the social channels.